All right, hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Otis Frampton Live again. Back with another Makin and Talkin Comics episode. The audio is good, so we're good there. Like I said, another Makin and Talkin Comics. The new, hopefully, series I debuted yesterday on the show. And today we're going to be working on another page of Patchwork Girl of Oz. And then I'm going to be talking about another one of the comics that I love. Let me just get things set up here, and we'll get going. The page I'm working on today actually is actually a double page spread. As you can see, a double page spread. Here you can see color coded where the split happens. This spread has two panels, both horizontally across the page. I'm going to be finishing pencils and hopefully the inks on this bottom panel, because that'll count for an entire page, and that's an entire process. And I try to do, a couple of processes a day. Just make sure I'm all good here. If you are in the chat room, please say hello. I love to chat. I'm always watching that chat room. All right, I'm just gonna get going here. And actually, what I'm gonna do, get the text here. I'm gonna throw. Whoops. Just to kind of throw a sheet of paper over that, so I don't see it and get distracted. And so we'll call this pencils 1. This is part of the process. And like I said, for these Makin and Talkin Comics shows, I'm basically going to be jumping on and doing whatever is on my schedule for the day. There's nothing planned. There's nothing sort of special or different about them. I'm just going to try to move the ball forward on these comic projects. Got a grid set up to just help me a little bit. I don't want it to be perfect, but sometimes I use grids like this to set me up. And there's various ways of doing that. I actually have I use I think it's a brush that comes with Procreate. I think it's a grid brush, isn't it? Isn't there like a grid? Oh, there's the grid brush I use. You can see it there, and you just Let's actually select the brush, have it set. You can actually draw grids there. But I think it's a standard Procreate brush. But once in a while, I'll use it just as a guide. I'm just finishing up the pencils here. I got this cabinet, or a shelf, I should say, full of jars, and I wanted them to be, a variety of shapes. And these are the jars that are gonna contain some magical elements that are later used in the story. Let's get a little perspective on those. I'm just going to refine these real quick, and then I'll jump into inking. Each one's going to have sort of a label on it. And I wanted to have at least one shot that you can kind of see the bottles a little bit better. There's another page where you see them, but I think this is the closest we get to them, except for another shot where you see extreme close-ups of very specific bottles. But I wanted to show that the variety of bottles in this shelf. It's funny, there's a scene in my Create Our Own series, Oddly Normal, that has a similar kind of thing. And I don't know, I must have like unconsciously sort of cribbed the idea of all these little bottles containing things. Having read the book when I was, a kid, I'm not exactly sure if, but that, that's how influences work. Sometimes you don't even know when you're being influenced. I don't know what I had in mind for this one. Looks like a bomb. I don't want that. So we'll square it off. So it doesn't look. And then each one will have a label on it. And in the story, these contain like magical powders with elements that can be used, like intelligence and cleverness and goodness, and they can be put inside the Patchwork Girl. But things go awry, as they often do in these stories. But it's kind of a weird choice for a double page spread, but as you can see, I wanted a scene where you saw the characters approaching an area with some new features, and then show her walking past us. That allows me to get that close-up in there of the bottles. And then in the following page, we're going to see one of the characters sort of reacting to it. So, because they play a role later in the story. And I don't want readers to forget about it. All right, that should be enough to get me through things. Oh, one more thing. So what I'm going to do is, let's see. So I got a bunch of viewers here on Rumble. That's pretty cool. I love that people are finding me here. This is, as I said, on social media, Rumble is where I'm monetized. Whoops. And so that's why I decided to make the jump. It's just not working. That's weird. Oh, that's it was working. I just couldn't see it. The reason I made the jump to Rumble, let me get these labels on there, is because they monetize immediately. And I've been on YouTube, and I've been live streaming on YouTube on and off for years, and have never apparently done enough business to warrant monetization. But YouTube Rumble monetized right away, so I jumped on board. I really think more creators should. YouTube has a monopoly on the whole streaming thing, and it really shouldn't. There should be other alternatives, and I'm still streaming to YouTube at the same time here using Rumble Studio, which allows me to stream to multiple places. But Rumble's going to be my home in terms of streaming from now on. All right, so I'm going to basically, let's see, I'm going to take pencils here from this layer, copy and paste them, because I have enough done here that I can use that. And then I'm going to get rid of the grid, drop the opacity here, create a new line, call it lines. And grab black, switch to my inking brush. I should probably add links to some of my tools. Let's start with the face here. In the show notes, I haven't been doing that. And I should, especially things like the brushes I use. Not all of them are native Procreate brushes. Like the one I use for inking here. It's a custom brush that was made by an artist named Stave Draws. I talked about it yesterday. And it's based on Walt Kelly's illustrations of the artist who did Pogo many years ago. I've been using it as my inking brush for a while now. But I should actually, what I should really do is not just that, but set up like something on my website that shows tools. I know some artists do that, just so they can have a place to point people when they ask. Every once in a while, I will pause here just so that I can check the chat. I'm watching it here and there, but I don't want to miss anybody saying hello or asking a question. Come on. Yesterday when I started the show, it was I had to just restart it because there was the sound of the lawn guys, the people who do our lawn services here at the house, and they decided to arrive right when I was beginning, and the sound was just overwhelming. But today, across the street, our neighbors sold their house recently. I think they're finally moving out, so I can actually hear them right now doing that. Oops, that's too big. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but you can totally hear them moving stuff across the street. That's funny. Oops, I'm screwing this up here. Hold on. Anyway, since I started on time today, it looks like I'll be able to go until about 1:45, and then I'll switch over to talking about comics instead of making them. Actually, let's keep that and just let's push it, pull it a little bit. Yeah, that's better. I'm doing Margalott's hair here. I always try to be loose at first, and then I go in and do the refinements once I've got sort of an energetic, loose look, and then I go in and kind of chip away some details. Give it a little more definition. Hello, the Rational Texan. Nice to see you again. How many books of Oddly Normal currently have on the market? There are 4 books out, and slowly but surely working on book 5. But I've had to sort of weave working on Patrick Girl of Oz into my schedule because I had an opportunity that I couldn't pass up. So my creator-owned book is the series is still going on, just slower than before. But I'm working on it, and I will be working on it, on the show here, on and off. Patchwork Girl is taking a little bit of a precedent just because of the schedule, the publication schedule that's going to be happening. But I am definitely committed to continuing Oddly. It's funny though. I don't. I see getting to do Patchwork Girl as an opportunity that I probably wouldn't have had if it wasn't for Oddly. So, and I've often said that I did I did creator owned comics backwards. Most people, especially with Image, where Oddly Normal was published, they come from somewhere else, having made their bones somewhere else, and then they do a creator own book at Image. I didn't do that. I did it the wrong way. Oddly, was really my first thing, And part of me is hoping that Patchwork Girl brings more readers to Oddly. So I'm kind of doing it still in reverse, but that's okay. Yes. Graphic novels, yes. Although it did start out the traditional way of being a comic series that was published, single issues until we got to book 10 and or issue 10 and decided to just do um, graphic novels from that point on. It was motivated by two things. One, that it seemed better for the market to do them just as book releases. So every 5 chapters would come out as a book, and that's how the third and fourth books have come out just as books. Um, Patchwork Girl is gonna be, at least I hope, much more traditional, and it's a finite story. That it has it's based on a existing book and has a finite story. I have 20 issues planned, and my publisher knows that. So hopefully we'll get to do all 25. And then there will be, obviously, trade paperback versions. And again, those will have 5 issues for each one. Oops. Each of these bottles is going to have a little label on it with something written, so you have to account for that. So every once in a while, I got to zoom out and assess what I'm doing. Make sure that I'm not changing the line weight to a degree that it's going to really show up. Looks like I'm actually gonna be able to finish this, I think. Pretty much. Let's see what time is it. I got 15 minutes. Gonna go over a little bit. Oh, well, I hope you give them a chance sometime. It's an all ages title, but I write the comic, and I create the comics for me first and foremost. So hopefully they're and I've heard people say this, that even though they're sort of for kids, so to speak, adults like them too. I write it in a way that an adult can read it and not sort of want to gag from cheesiness or treacle, so to speak. Because I like all ages stuff too. I can't stand stuff that's pandering or, which is most animated movies these days, unfortunately, except for the rare occasion, or Studio Ghibli movies. I wish there was an American equivalent to Studio Ghibli, but there just isn't, unfortunately. Which reminds me, the latest Ghibli movie came out on digital today, so I look forward to seeing that. I didn't catch it in theaters, but very much looking forward to seeing it on home video. The Boy and the Heron, it's called. One of the things that I hope doing these Makin and Talkin comics segments will lead to is, if people have questions about my approach to making comics, they'll jump in the chat room and let me know what the questions are. I'd love to answer questions like that. Most comic-based live streams or video channels They don't seem to focus on the craft as much, which I don't understand. Seems to be a little bit too focused on drama in the comic world, and that's just not what I'm into. I am not a carnival barker. I care about making comics, and that's what I'm here for. All right, look at that. Pretty much done with inking. Something to do a couple of detail things. Some wood textures and all that. And the labels, of course. But that'll come when I do the final text. Although, as I've said before, you can see here, it's not much dialogue on this, but I do my rough lettering. Where is it? I didn't do it for this. I do my lettering sort of at the layout stage for the most part, at least in rough form. Let me get rid of the scrim here. And I mean, it's as simple as this sometimes. Oops. Just so I know where it's supposed to be. But I do need to add labels to all these, and they'll show what they are. All right, so actually, that's fine. All right, so that's all we're gonna do, I think, for the inking. I need to go in and tweak a little bit every once in a while, or in certain spots. I can see some spots that need some touch-ups. But that's good enough for now. All right, it's time. Let's put that away. Close this up. And let me grab today's comic that we're going to talk about. Make sure that things are in focus here. Let's turn the temperature down. It's a little too warm. Today's comic that I'm going to talk about is Spawn number 1. Get it out of the bag. Spawn number 1. Yesterday I talked about the first comic that... hold on a second. No, that's fine. The first comic that really made me fall in love with medium. And a few years after that, I sort of fell out of love with the medium and quit reading comics. Pretty much from my high school years, and then about a year into college, community college, when I was studying film. Thought I was going to go into film, be a director, that kind of thing. Anyway, like I said yesterday, one day I decided to stop at a comic shop randomly, and it happened to be the week that Spawn number 1 came out. And what a weird coincidence, right? Walked in, saw this beauty sitting on the new release stand, and the cover. Just I'd never seen anything like it. I mean, I hadn't been following comics, and even if I had, you wouldn't have seen coloring like this. You just fix the camera a little bit more so it's. That's better. Get the contrast up a bit so you can see it. You wouldn't have seen coloring like this. This is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful coloring. First time I ever saw computer coloring done for a comic. And the first time I'd ever seen Todd McFarlane in artwork before. I basically missed his entire rise in the world of comics, and so this was my first encounter with it, and it just blew me away, and I just loved it. Still do. And I didn't know what Image Comics was at the time, so this was just me like opening up a comic. I saw, it said Malibu. I kind of knew what Malibu was, but they were the publisher or the printer. Anyway, Steve Oliff was the colorist. Beautiful coloring. I just remember opening it and seeing this quirky style that I'd never seen in a mainstream superhero book before. Hold on a second. Sorry, the color in the video is really, really yellow. I don't like that. Trying to fix it so it looks a little more natural. Maybe I guess I'd have to do. This looks really, really yellow, and I don't know why. That's a little better. That's a little better. Sorry, I'm just trying to do my best to represent the colors well on camera. Anyway, getting back to it, I've never seen sort of cartoony looking characters. I grew up reading comics, and John Byrne was sort of the mainstay, but it was all more illustrative. So there's a quirkiness to Todd's work here, and an energy, and just the exaggeration and the simplification, in figures like this, and of course his amazing use of the page layout. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure the colors come out right. Anyway, I remember looking at it, just marveling at the colors. Oh, look at this double page that you got to turn sideways to really appreciate. Just really cool stuff. I've never seen anything like this before. The closest was an issue of Fantastic Four. It was a sideways issue that actually, I was going to talk about that too. This issue of Fantastic Four, the sideways issue that I love. I might showcase this in a future one. But I remember the first comic that I purchased after discovering Todd McFarlane's work through Spawn was his final issue of Amazing Spider-Man, which is also a sideways issue. And I'll talk about this one probably. Maybe I'll talk about these two on the same show, because they're rare examples of sideways issues, and they're really cool because the composition on the pages are so different than normal comics that it really stands out. Another thing that I notice, actually looking at this now, is that this first issue of Spawn, the paper is more like it's thicker than regular newsprint, but it's still newsprinty. It's got a texture to it. They didn't switch to the higher grade paper until a little bit later, apparently. Look at this page. It's beautiful page layouts with very thin, insanely thin panel on the side here, but still telling the story, and then the smoke leading your eye back up. Really, really great. Really great. It's funny that how he can get away with just doing, you know, a silhouette and then like a non-silhouette in the storytelling. I remember, a lot of artists at the time kind of dinged the image guys for some of their shortcuts, but they make good comics. They know how to use the language of the medium. Look at this shot. You can feel movement just in the way he just uses these sort of streaky lines for the background. You can feel the movement of Spawn coming down. It's really great stuff. And of course, the craziness of his cape. I'd never seen anything like that either. I mean, I would soon go back and try to find as many Todd McFarlane comics as I could after finding Spawn, and then buying all of his Spider-Man issues that he wrote and drew, and finding out about how he went from the Amazing Spider-Man artist to doing his own book because he was such a big name. Kind of the energy in this panel is just amazing. And then the pinup. This is not the first copy of this comic that I've owned, and I'm pretty sure I bought multiple copies so I could pull this out and put it on my wall. I had this as a little poster on my wall. It's just gorgeous, so gorgeous, really cool. And I just remember I've never seen, like I'm repeating myself, but I've never seen anything like his work. Everybody else was probably coming to this issue having experienced Todd's work and seen the evolution, but he sort of, my experience with it was just out of the blue, and being bowled over by how he drew capes and the sort of the energy that he put into every single thing. And then, of course, I watched one of those Stan Lee videos, Masters of Comic Book Art, or whatever they're called. And I finally saw Todd, on video, and guy is a bundle of energy, and you can tell that it all goes into his work. And this is sort of my favorite Todd McFarlane stuff is this stuff, which now is, I guess you would consider it early Todd, but it's really great. There's another artist I didn't know at the time, Talkin. Great stuff. Beautiful George Perez pinup. Anyway, I didn't know anything. These ads, they're so funny to see these ads now, especially an ad like this. Oh my god, I didn't know anything about Image Comics. This was the second Image comic to come out. The first was Youngblood, #1. But I had no idea who these guys were, the Image Comics guys at the time. That said, they immediately became heroes of mine because they risked it all to do their own stuff, their own books. They were at the height of their fame as comic book creators, and they threw it all away to risk it on their own ideas. And man, that's inspiring. It's so inspiring, especially for somebody like me who, up to that point, my big hero was George Lucas, and he was also somebody who sort of he bucked the trends and said no to Hollywood and did his own independent thing, and so I really admired the Image guys, which is why years later, when I went to pitch my all ages series, Oddly Normal, to publishers, one of them was Image, and I never in a million years thought that I'd even hear back from Image. They didn't really have a history of publishing all ages titles. It just didn't, it was sort of a long shot thing. All of them were long shot things, long shots in my opinion. I didn't expect to hear back anyone, but I heard back from two, and one of them was Image that got offers to publish from two publishers, and I decided to go with Image because I wanted to own my own work. I wanted they They inspired me to do my own thing. Having this image eye on my book is such a big deal to me. It really is. It's an honor. It'll never not be an honor. I really can't believe that falling back in love with comics and getting back into drawing again because of this led to this. So thank you, Todd. Just thank you so much for all the inspiration that you gave me, and I'm so happy to be with Image. It's pretty great. And that's today's talking about comics. I might talk about another issue of Spawn sometime in the future. This one in particular, which is such a strange issue of any comic, but it's all about creator ownership, and I really think it's a special issue. So maybe I'll talk about that soon. Anyway, that's all for tonight, and we'll look at that. Tonight. All for today. I'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. I'll be working on a commission. I'm not sure which one I'll be working on, but tomorrow's a commission day, so I hope you'll join me again at 1 p.m. Central. And thank you all so much. Appreciate it. Have a good night.